Hello, good morning, and welcome to our 2-day curly cutting class extravaganza. We're here today with Coco Santiago from New York City. I'm really excited to have Coco here because Coco was my first teacher when I started at Bumble & Bumble in 2004. And
aging me. Yeah.
And me too. I mean, lots of years of experience here. So, you know, even though we are not curly specialists, we have been working with curls for our entire career.
I mean, not only mine or hers, because her hair is wavy.
We have curls as well.
You know.
And so we hope to really inspire you and show you some scissor cutting, some razor cutting, some creative approaches. And we have models for you for both days. So for the people that are here taking the hands-on course are gonna get to work with live models. And most of them, I'm pretty sure most of them are open. So we can really take it there today and tomorrow. Cool? And so we might have to use our scissors, we might have to use our razor, we might be cutting pixies, we might be cutting long mermaid curls. It's gonna be all over the place. Cool? You guys excited?
Also think about like taking curly hair to a different, like this is where you see it. Like today I'm going to be doing it dry. So we can actually look and see how we cut curls just in a natural state. So that's going to be something different. I will be using my razor maybe on some small bits. I definitely will be using my scissor and showing some techniques where you can just open curls, shorten them, what happens when you shorten a curl and why we do it. Why sometimes you think, does that look right? It actually accents everything, but like all that kind of stuff. So again, questions asked, because it's going to be, I would say like more sculpting, and then, you know, some precision too. Like maybe if you want something a little bit stronger or a little looser, but we'll go through all that stuff today. Sound exciting? Cool.
Okay. And then what else was I going to say about that? Oh yeah, so I would love to hear from all of you.
Yes.
So tell me what your salon is that you're from, your name, how long you've been doing hair, and what you hope to get from the next 2 days. And Eric has a microphone. He's going to hand it to, let's start with Nick.
My name is Nick, and I own Hey Pretty Hair Studio in Elmwood. That's in Berkeley, and I've been doing hair for about 18 years.
Hi, my name is Anye. I am from Twist Salon in Alameda. I've been doing hair for about 14 years, but focusing on curls for the last 7.
Hi, my name is Summer. I work here at Pony. I've been doing hair for like 6 years, and yeah, I just want to feel more comfortable and with curls and just learn all the different ways to be using, or like when to use a razor, when to use scissors, and see all that. So cool. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Lauren. I am from Sweetheart Salon in Portland, Oregon. I've been doing hair for about 20 years, and I'm excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Camille, Portland as well, from Ceremony. I was trying to do the math for a second, and I started doing like 13, 14 years, so somewhere in that zone.
It kind of blends. Yeah, like after 10 years, it's just like a blur.
It's been a blur. So.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Celine. I've been doing hair for 9 years. I'm at Grove Salon in Albany.
What's it called?
Grove.
Grove.
Yeah. I'm kind of just like want to learn everything about cutting curls. I'm not like too familiar with cutting curls, so just learning every day really.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Morgan. I'm coming from Greenville, South Carolina. I own a salon there called The Common Room. We're pretty new. It's been about 3 years, but I guess I've been doing hair for about 11. My training started at Bumble, and so that's how I found you guys. And so I've actually never taken a curly class ever. So I'm just excited to do that.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Thank you. Okay, and the other thing I wanted to add is we do have curls of all sizes in as far as models go. So you'll have really tiny little coils, or we're gonna have kind of stretchy curls, and also there's multi-textured hair as well. So we're just gonna really take a deep dive into curls for the next 2 days. And so we should get started with some inspiration.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Let's take a look at some inspiration that we collected.
Move over. I'm like wanting to move over. It's like, no, you can see, Coco. I'll get it in a minute.
Yes? Pictures that we decided to throw together for you guys. Most of that's our work. And Coco, we're gonna take a look. Should we take a look at Raquel's video, or we'll do that after? Let's do that after because Raquel's right here. Come on up.
Okay. Let's start it. Here we go, Raquel. Ready?
Yeah. Which, by the way, Raquel does her own color.
She's like, oh God. I think it looks fabulous.
I love it. I think when you have curly hair, it's easier to get away with missing pieces.
No one's gonna say anything.
I actually like when there's variation of color.
And it is. Definitely, she's got variations here. And when I cut it, you're gonna see like some darker bits that she has here, and then the lighter bits too, which will be fun. Okay. So during our consultation, we were like, what should we do? There's so many different things that we see, but what's going to be suitable for her? When I met Raquel and she was on the street doing her little before and afters, she kept on doing this. So right away that tells me this is something that she's always gonna do. And if you push this hair away, look how much better that looks. It's that stuff that's like dragging people down. I noticed that a lot of times when people cut curly hair, they don't address these bits here. And these bits are the ones that just hang and then they don't do anything. And then most of the time people have to tuck them behind their ear. So we're gonna address those today. And then also, I'm gonna cut Raquel's hair dry. I'm gonna wet it down with a little prep and maybe put a little bit of product in it. Back here, it looks like just like a sheet of curls. Like I want to see something that maybe has a disconnect, something fun, taking some weight out, and just addressing like just this whole blanket of curls here.
Raquel is very open as well. Raquel was like, do whatever, hair grows, I don't care.
Because you see it, like you can see right here, there's like one little shelf here. And it doesn't necessarily need to blend, but if it's gonna be disconnected, I want it to make sense, like that we did it on purpose. Not like that it's just grown out and she did her color herself. No, I'm kidding. But I love her color actually. As soon as I saw her, I'm like, Eric, let's do it. I wanna do something different. And you can see.
Inspired, right?
Yeah.
It's like you see this and you're like, that red looks great on her skin tone.
And like, sometimes mistakes are good because when I cut it, you're gonna see, well, it's gonna almost look like it was highlighted on purpose. Because you already see like an orangey red here, a deeper red here. And just by opening the curls or like taking them down or leaving them, you're gonna see all the different dimensions. Cool?
Can you describe her hair type for everyone?
So her hair type is like, she's got a medium texture. It's not coarse, it's kind of soft. Again, it's how long, when was the last time you shampooed?
Yesterday.
Okay, and just a little gel in there?
No, I don't.
So you don't put anything in there. So she's got nice curl for not putting anything in it, right? And drying naturally. And I love her curls. Some of them are looser, some of them always around like underneath, around the perimeter is tight.
Yeah, I was looking at some of these. I was obsessing. Like, look. Yeah.
And then in the back too, let's bring it around.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say her hair is thick, she has a lot of it. And the curls are definitely pretty consistent. But it's like this stuff that I want to address, this tucking situation that she started doing. Almost feel like when my clients come in, I like them to shake their hair out, or like, you know how some clients are like trying to fix your haircut, and I want to see how they style it, right? So that I know where I need to go in and cut a little bit more, or should I have left that, you know, because we need to know what our clients like to do. When
And we really
when we're
are
around.
constantly learning. Like, have you ever
Yeah.
done a haircut and then you take a look at your picture after and you're like, oh, I should have done that more. Or, wow, I thought I took out a lot of bulk, but actually I could have taken out more. So that's one of the things too, bulk removal. When do you do it? When is it okay? When is it like, oh, don't take any bulk out of that hair. That's probably better to be left heavy. So those sorts of things, Coco, we really want to talk about.
Yeah. So again, I was talking about the back because again, it looks like a blanket of hair and it's not doing anything. Like as soon as you see that, you're like, whoop. So I want to address that and bring it up, cut some short bits in there, maybe disconnect. I want to see how I'm feeling. I'm going to listen to the hair too. I want to see what it wants to do. I'm not going to force it to do anything because especially curly hair, most people that have curly hair, they don't want to fuss too much with their hair. They just want to get up and go. But definitely some product. We're going to teach you how to use some product. Every curly hair needs a product, at least one. And yeah, I'm just gonna take it from there. I think I'm gonna start from behind, address this stuff, and then work forward. And then you'll see me doing a little bit of sporadic, like just placement and more like my little signatures at the end. But yeah. Any
What's
questions?
the overall look that we will be seeing Raquel with at the end?
So again, these bangs, I was thinking that I liked them, but I might go a little bit shorter with them. I'm going to be opening, like following the curl pattern, opening it and seeing what it wants to do. But overall, I want to see a lot of volume in here. Like I'm digging like all this. If you just push everything forward, like that looks so much better than just hanging.
And you're keeping the length, so...
I'm gonna keep the length, but I also might address some of it after. So I wanna definitely get rid of the bad, leave the good, and then tweak it with some signature pieces.
Kind of like sexy mullet?
Yes, like a sexy mullet.
Yeah.
And you know, again, I always say this, I always feel so funny when I always say it. Their hair is talking, it's talking to me. So if you see all this stuff back here that I wasn't really liking, the front bits are good. I might take a little bit of length, but then I can just follow it and remove some weight and get some nice texture on the crown. But I'm definitely gonna layer it out.
Awesome. Okay, so I was told by, do you want to help wet her down? Or wait, not you. Can someone help?
Oh, it's okay, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. So my husband, or sorry, Brett told me that the camera started going live after I already made introductions. So I just want to say welcome to our class out there. We have 2 days of curly demos, and we're excited to be here. This is Coco from New York City. And Coco has been cutting hair for
Long time.
a long time.
24 years at Bumble and 6
Okay.
more before that.
All right. So we have lots of experience here. We hope to inspire you and give you some
Ooh,
new
look at
tips
this
and
one.
tricks and cutting curls. So welcome to today. My name is Karina, and I will be emceeing.
My MC girl. So I don't want it completely wet. What I want to do is just rejuvenate the curls and see them come back to life. Because even just pressing on that a little bit, you could see it wants to curl up definitely more. I'm gonna put some grooming cream on it also.
And this product that Coco you're using, it's just kind of like a water, but it has a little bit of like conditioning in there. It's not heavy at all. It's very, very light. So it's very similar to water.
It's definitely not a product you want to use when you want to blow dry somebody's hair straight.
Oh, what did you just put in there? Sorry, I missed
Grooming
that.
cream.
Grooming cream, okay. So grooming cream is almost like lotion for the skin, but for the hair. Yes, question?
Do you ever find that with certain curl patterns, if you mist them down like that, they actually just turn into a hot mess?
I usually cut, I don't know. What do you think?
Hot mess in what way?
Like if it's like a really fine, tight curl, that it just turns so frizzy that you lose every definition to actually see the pattern. Like it has to be like soaking wet or completely dry. Like if you miss it, I just encountered this once, so I'm wondering if it was just like the wrong storm of like dehydration in her
And
hair
it was
or
just
not.
water?
It was just water, yeah.
Now,
And
were
then it
you
got
raking
really
it with your
frizzy.
fingers?
A little bit to kind
Okay.
of get the knots out. It was super tangly, and maybe if it had a conditioning agent, it would have been different. But it just kept getting worse and worse and worse.
I always find that if I start seeing something growing and getting too like wiry or fuzzy, I take it down. I put some sort of cream in it. I don't like put my fingers in it and shake it up. I'm very gentle with it, and I follow patterns and I scrunch because you don't want to mess it up. You want it to live in its natural state. So maybe just a little bit more,
Hydration,
more
right?
product.
Hydration versus just water. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Well, water is hydration, right? But I think what Coco's saying is like, while she's cutting, she's setting the curl as she goes so that it starts to get, you know, the way that she would want it to dry if she were to walk out after that cut. Yeah?
And even here,
Styling as you go.
she had a little bit of knots, but just be soft with it. You don't want to be aggressively rough with curly hair.
And you're not combing it out at all.
No,
Right.
because if I comb it out, what's going to happen? You know, and then I'm not going to see the curl pattern. So I really want to cut it and see the curl as I cut it. Just taking like a center section, because this first section is going to pretty much set me up for the whole thing.
Starting right in the back.
And it's so weird. People are like, why don't you use a comb? Like, again, I like to just see natural textures. You comb it out, it just gets really fuzzy. Using my little finger as a pick, a little nail. And I just need to know, yeah, I'm good. Oh, here I am, sorry. So I'm just gonna start breaking it up. I'm just loosening all that up. So I want to see what her hair is doing. Like how is it laying once I take those layers, that weight out. See how much better that is? And it's just a little bit. And you can go through and open and close.
It's like kind of
Open
like
and
talking
close.
the shear, you know?
Yeah.
It's like open, close, cutting, almost like a blunt cut as you're cutting.
And then also remember that the shorter bits that you create are going to give support to the longer bits. So when this falls over, it'll have a little bit of bounce to it. It will have some place to lie. Looking at this, I want to go shorter here. I'm kind of digging what's going on with the length here. It's weird to see somebody just cutting like dry curls. I always get like, how do you cut things so dry? I'm like, because you can see where it wants to live. It's a little softer. You guys seeing that?
There are a lot of, I feel like cutting dry curls is really something that's more common than cutting it wet, right? And I think what Coco means is like, you know, she often does a lot of dry cutting, even with the razor. So that's kind of just a style thing, and it's a preference thing. So really, I want you guys to watch what Coco's doing and keep in mind all of the things that are your preference and how you can tie them together, right? And that's what education is. It's just picking up a lot of things that you can add into your repertoire of what you already do.
And then again, I'm starting from the center, I'm just following the head shape.
Are you taking more like triangular sections or more like pie sections?
I like pie sections. Sorry.
I was just curious about the sections that you're taking. Are they more pie shaped or triangular?
They're more pie shape, I'm just following through. And I'm definitely being a little bit more direct and blunt with my shears.
And why do you decide to do that, Coco?
Well, I want to see more of a disconnect here. So as much as I want to take some weight out of it so it has a little bit of a shape, I also want to see the disconnect. So if I'm not seeing that, I'm going in more bluntly with my scissors. And then you could even just point cut. Just wet it a little bit more if you need to.
Would you use the razor on her at all?
Yeah, not too much in the back just yet because I want to see what's going on. Again, feeling it, looking to connect.
And looking for head shape too, right?
Yeah, right underneath the occipital bone. You can start seeing that now. So if I start using a comb, I'm gonna just mess it all up and like, it'll be too frizzy. So you wanna see where the curl wants to be. And then if this is too much, I could always just go back and just erase some of it. It's almost like erasing, right? Let me just see what it's looking like. Yeah. You know, because sometimes it's like you have an idea of where you want it to land, but sometimes you have to leave a little bit of weight or a little length and then see, judging where everything is falling. So see, that's definitely much better. And I always take diagonal sections, pie sections, because I like things sometimes a little softer. I like to have that bit that if I want to remove it, I could remove it.
And it's a great way to section on a round thing, right? Pie shapes. It makes a lot of sense. On a round thing. I mean, like a head, you know?
So I'm seeing what's going on there. I'm going to scoop some of this out.
Already.
That's too heavy, so I'm going to go back and just make up.
So it's like Coco is cutting it, dropping it, styling it a bit, checking
Yes.
it, and then picking up the things that her eyes don't like. You see? So it is a bit of intuitive cutting mixed with theory.
Because we know I want to put a lot of volume in here, but I also like a lot of these long bits. So as I'm going around, I'm looking to see what I want to remove and what I want to keep. And you could already see in the front, like I've only been working in the back, but you could already see what's going on. And just by taking that little bit out, what happened? And remember too, like when I wet it down and put the product in, it's definitely gonna look a little tighter. Does anybody have any questions?
Where'd you get your shoes?
Who, me? Oh, Mart.
They're so cute.
So I have a Poshmark, you know, with the million other things that I do, I have a Poshmark account. Because I have so much stuff that I want. So I got rid of a lot of stuff. It's almost like free shopping.
We have a comment from online. Is going to do
So what's going on there? I'm literally looking at where I want the dip to be, removing some of that weight, and then from underneath, sculpting some weight removal here so it has a place to live. Does that make sense?
yeah, beautiful.
Yes? So this is like having a vision of what you want. You know, it's definitely not, you know, like structured. It's a very free flowing, just looking at it, using your eye to see what is it that you like. Look at what's going on with that color.
One of the things I love that you do, Coco, is even though you had a really strong idea and a plan of how you start going in and you leave yourself a lot of room to explore and like see what the hair is doing as you're working on it. You don't just cut it to exactly where you think it's going to land. You really pay attention and let the hair move itself around.
Yeah, I mean, I just like doing it that way because sometimes that one bit of hair that I don't cut, it actually really looks good. So if I remove it, then I lost that whole shape. Open and closing my scissors, taking some of that weight out. So it's still giving a nice weight line, but a little softer. I'm also looking at the color too. Little weight taken out. All right. So I have that weight line in there. I'm going to come through. I'm just going to sculpt some of this out. Just opening, closing my shears. And even making that weak curl a little stronger.
Yeah, sometimes weight removal can strengthen something too, and it depends on where you end up as you're taking out the weight and where do you do that final length chomp at the end, right?
Yeah, and even like Karina was saying, how if you notice I'm like styling the hair while I'm going, twisting the curl especially if I just took weight out of it, twisting it just to give it more of an accent piece. All that stuff goes into like freehand cutting.
So for wherever you're uncertain, what do I do with this piece? If you're cutting dry, you can, like what Coco's doing, is just start styling it and applying product, and then you're able to see about what your next decision will be as far as cutting.
Yeah, and then you were saying about that it's getting frizzy. That's the same thing that's going on here, but I'm wetting it down, I'm scrunching it, helping the pattern. I love what's going on in the back here too. It's really cool. And she could do really cool things with it. Look, like, oh, a bob. And even just pushing that away, I'm seeing stuff. I'm like, oh, yes, let's get it. Moving the hair around is so important. Because then you get to see other things. Just from like moving that forward, look what happened. It like rushed something through my head. Like, I'm like, oh, let me get those bits. Like, those are the bits I was looking for. Where were they hiding? And then this comes out looking a little better. But she's gonna have a lot of different ways to wear this too. To wear it in a ponytail, with the curls up top. It's gonna be super fun. Just forward.
Super fun.
Super fun. How does everybody feel with me just cutting, not sectioning really? Is that something you guys do, or? Right? Oh, what, this one?
I missed it. Can you explain it?
It was just like opening, closing. So if I move it over, it just leaves that corner. So it's like one of these.
Do it again.
And she still has weight here. And it's so funny, like Eric just nailed it. Sometimes I don't even notice that I'm doing it. Really just setting myself up, and then I could see it. And then I'm like, okay, there's the baby. That's what I want. There she is. And then I could be more aggressive.
There it is. It's like that certainty. You're like, okay, yes,
Yeah.
That's gotta go.
Going in and open and closing. Taking some of that weight out. And now it's coming more to life.
This has really inspired me to start with like the shortest layers first.
Yeah.
This really inspired me to start cutting curls with by the shortest layer first, as opposed to like kind of building into that shorter layer. Because one of the challenges I always have is that you just can't get the lift right in the back, and you're achieving that like just perfectly.
Yeah, and at first I was like trying to find it, but then I did this. That's why it's so important to just, move hair around, and then I'm like, oh, there she is. And then you can even go in, and so it's not too round, just right in like the mid shaft, open and close. And then you'll get that height too that you're looking for. Sorry, Karina. You were gonna say something? You forgot?
I don't know what I was thinking. I just love it. It's true, Anya, what you're saying. It's like, that's why classes are so great, and this is why I do what I do, because I have Coco come in and I barely say anything. I'm just like, just do stuff. And I just want to learn, because it's watching someone else's approach will inspire you in your own work and things that you're already doing, and you're like, oh, I can do that. It's kind of like you have to see it before you ever learn it. You have to see someone else do it.
Or like, is that okay to do?
Yes.
Like you need that validation, that permission.
Yes.
Especially now with curls, there's just so many rules with curls that you see out there on the internet about you have to do this, you have to do that. But curls are their best when they're just being like raw and wild.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes. And true what you said, like, can I do that? Well, let's have someone else do it first. So I can see, well, because I don't want to do it on a paying client, like I'm scared, but like here, let's play. No one's paying for haircuts today. Go for it.
So now just moving the hair around, looking at it, something else popped up. How much time do I have?
How much time do we have?
You still have 45 minutes.
Oh, good.
Fantastic.
So now I'm looking at this. Do I want to like do a little peekaboo eye? Like I want to see her face, but
I feel like your bangs, you can leave them for last.
yeah. Just sculpting out like this, and then leaving that length.
Sometimes you want to start with the bang if that's like the biggest change. Starting with the biggest change so you can balance out everything else to it.
And you see how I'm opening and closing. I'm not just making a hard line.
What was that? I've never heard that before.
And I like what's going on once I take that little long bit away. Feeling it to make sure there's enough weight there. And then I'm getting the bits that I want, moving it around. So it's a disconnect, but it still has a little bit of softness to it. Because as I started doing it, so if I really disconnected it too much, it would be too much. Plus, I still have to style it, wet it down.
Yeah, we know it's going to shrink, right?
Yeah. And I'm using my little nails as picks, going through it.
Y'all got to get some nails.
You know what? It's really true.
I can't.
You can't do the nail. I mean, they're not super long.
I have a hard time with it. I've tried. I tried when I was a senior in high school. Never again.
Oh, really?
I think I bit them all off. For like the prom.
I do that so I don't bite my nails, believe it or not.
I know some people it works the opposite. I'm like, my body's like, foreign object.
I love how as you're moving it around, and even before you had put the side part in, Coco, you can see so many different styling options that you were talking about. It has like a very 70s feel. Like you can move it into like an 80s rocker.
Totally, right?
You can also take it into a very like Victorian, beautiful. I mean, there's so many ways to deal with styling it. And I think that's one of the things when so many times I have clients come in and they're like, I want a new style. Instead, it's like, well, do they want a new haircut or they want to learn how to style their hair differently?
That's true.
Because sometimes the cut works and they just need to learn how to work with it. And as you're moving around, there's so many options I'm seeing.
I just noticed, like, from years of teaching, like, everybody's just doing this. Or even when they're cutting, it's just everybody's so fixated with having everything even or straight, or should I pull it this angle, should I pull it that angle? Like, when it gets to this is definitely more advanced cutting. But if you are a bit more loose with your curls, like, put in your shape and then look at it and just move it around. Like, I just move this around and I'm liking this and I'm going to sculpt that out.
And the key to a great cut, is versatility, right?
Yes, totally.
So you want them to have their different looks. And also, one of the things that I learned when I went to New York and started working at Bumble was how to move the hair around as you're cutting and how to look and how to see what's suitable. Ooh, so satisfying.
But it's
See,
still,
that's what I've been waiting to see right there, is that little like,
And this ties in perfectly. We got a comment from Jezebel online, and she says, "Fuck shit up."
It's like the customizing, and that's where it takes time, and that's where it takes practice, and you have to develop your eye. You have to be able to see it.
because it's like you have a plan, you have an idea, but until you start busting the hair out, you don't see it.
Okay, but this is changing her so much.
This is this.
Making, yeah, you're helping her with the tuck.
I was just wondering, Coco, how did you like decide to go that short when you were scooping that first?
So, sorry, I get into it and I forget to explain. So, looking at the hair and the way it's falling, it's coming in and around and around. So if I sculpt out that big chunk, it's just gonna sit right where it needs to sit. But if I start doing little, it doesn't have that initial pop. So just go for it, because you see what's gonna happen. As soon as you move it around, it's telling me what is gonna happen. Like if I tuck this is the stuff that's popping out. So let me just get rid of it, right?
And just cutting into that C, right? You're cutting into the C and you're kind of carving it out.
So for that part that you had just done, did you kind of move the top and you're working at the under the recession, or like
So
when you did that?
here? Mm-hmm. So again, just following the head shape, the way the curls want to live.
Okay.
So if her hair
She's
was
inside town.
yeah,
She's inside town right now.
So when the hair is wet and you don't see all this, but when you could see its natural texture is
This
when
is
you.
Bangtown.
This is side town.
So you get Bangtown out of the way and you deal with the residents. Overpopulated, we gotta.
Yeah, and this stuff just needs to go. Like this is the stuff that gives her problems. But we still have what we discussed, like that little mullet idea, that if she wants to tuck it, she still has a lot of hair going on here. And that just changes the shape so much.
She actually looks really great with the side part.
Yeah, I do like her side part too. So then looking at this, shaking it out, what's going on with my other haircut, because this is like a little bob with some longer bits in the front if you look at it.
Today's class, putting a bob on it.
Put a bob on it, put a bob on it. Just pinch it out of your way and then just keep on getting like creative with it. Right, so I kind of want to still leave these long. Opening, closing, moving forward with it. Sorry, getting dizzy. Same thing on the other side. Looking at it, bringing it back, and then going forward so I don't cut that a little bit.
That would be a cute cut right there too.
Again, as I keep on working with this keeps on telling me, it's just, see how her hair grows? It just spins around and pushes down. So I want to make sure that that doesn't happen when she just washes and goes, you know? So I'm going to look at these bits, address them, and just open and close and carve that curl, that little, like follow it and carve weight out of it. Same with that other little piece. Just carve and then go long. So the hairs just support each other. Sometimes you just have to go for it. She definitely has enough hair. I do like that side part, huh?
Yes, yeah, it looks good. good. Just shows off her cheekbone. Her one cheekbone.
So just pushing this aside, I'm going to go shoulder to longer and follow it through and just give a little bit more height in here.
I see it, I see it. That profile is great.
Actually, you know what? Bing, 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 bing. Bing, bing, bing. Just move it towards you, tilt your
We have
head.
a question, Eric?
What is your mindset behind moving to a razor on dry hair right now?
So I wanted to put my shape in, and I just wanted to have a little bit more control with this. So with the scissor, that gives me a little bit more control. I wanted to have a little bit of a weight line. I wanted to soften it up. But now I'm more like sculpting stuff around her face, so I feel more confident doing it with the razor. And I'm not using like the flat. I'm using the tip or the heel.
So it's like a cleaner.
Like a what?
It would be a little bit crisper.
Yes.
And remember, if you don't like cutting dry hair with a razor, you don't ever have to ever,
Yeah.
you know? But it's just, this is something Coco is kind of her thing and her preference. And so she does this a lot.
Yeah, because you can still get the same effect. I think because it's at an angle, I wanted to really get that steepness. It's just like wanting to switch a tool, do something different. Because I could still come in and open and close.
But you couldn't get that scoop.
Yeah, exactly.
I know sometimes I feel like, oh, this can only be done with a razor. And then some things I'm like, I can only use my scissors for this. And so again, it's like, it's what you're comfortable with. And also stepping outside today and tomorrow is going to be about is doing things that might make your heart rate go up.
That's a cool way to put it. Let's raise
Like,
the heart
can I
rate.
really do this? Okay, here it goes.
Let's do it.
And it's true, like,
We all need that.
but it's true what Karina says, we do it in class, not really on a client. I mean, sometimes I do it on clients too, but. Not anymore. The world, the world's got that one. Okay, now this is looking a little flat, so I'm gonna just come in here. Not messing with that heaviness that I put around the shape. And then you could eyeball things and see. Thanks. See shorter bits and see where you're at. But just at this point, just go for it. It's a cool shape. So she has a little bit more hair around here to tuck. And then this comes in to that lengthy part. So she has one short side and then one longer side. And then just be crazy, kids. Just be crazy. Cut it off.
And I think what Coco was saying earlier about, like, you know, this is kind of an advanced approach. And why? Because you do have to remember all your basics and all the things that you learned, that you've learned along the way. When you're being creative and when you're going at hair kind of in this manner, you know? Just keeping all those things in mind. Head shape, overall shape.
Yeah, just looking to see where it's gonna lie. I did a lot of like moving things around. Even just doing that, we noticed that she looks great in a side part. So why not like just address that and have her be able to wear it that way too. I just like to push everything around. Still have this swirl back here. I'm just gonna sculpt some more hair out of there. Without losing that cool line that I put in there. Scooping it out. That's better. Do, 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 do. Again, we want some volume here, so just open and close, close.
Yeah, I find that like the, different lengths and where you're trying to see volume is helpful on some hair types. If you keep it so solid, sometimes what happens is you can try to make it look full when you style it, but what happens as the day goes on, it just starts to open up and fall flat. And so these little shorter pieces help that volume last until the next time they come in.
Woohoo! Open and close, and when I do it, I look at the curl. Right where the curl is swerving, I scoop that out.
I love that disconnected part.
Yeah, we're definitely getting lots of love for the side part online.
There you go. Now you got a
It
side
really
part.
Getting some love.
And I'm like literally carving it into the side part.
What about the other side part?
I'll just leave it like that. I'm gonna look and see.
Like, I'm not there yet.
I have to do something there because I want to keep that little length, but it doesn't have anywhere to live. You see how it's like, where am I going? So this could be carved away. We carve some in here so it's not flat. So now this is talking to me like, hey, I don't want to be here. Get rid of me. It's like, she's crazy. So on this side, I'm not grabbing it. The other side, it definitely had it laid right on the head. This one's popping out a little. I'll show. So this one kind of really wants to be there. See how it just like, it's in her fringe or in her baby hairs.
People always have their favorite side, right? This side works and this side never works.
One of my clients was like, I can't wear it on that side. I get a headache. I'm like, what? She's like, I really do
I
have
love
a
clients.
headache. I'm like, okay. So I did remove it, but not as steep as I did on the other side. But this is cute too. She's got a little.
Well, I think this goes back into what's suitable. Doing
Yeah.
the same thing on both sides wasn't going to be suitable for curl pattern and growth pattern.
Plus, it just would have been like this and like this. So you just adjust it, like Eric was saying, to the curl pattern, to the direction of what you're doing. So much, so much.
It's almost kind of like a graduated bob back there, a little
Yeah, I
like
mean, if you
goes
take
in a
this
little
away.
bit towards the bottom.
It's fun. And just cut for comfort, like wherever your you feel suitable, like as far as the razor or the scissor is concerned. If you feel like that's what you need to do, then just use that tool.
How much time do we have?
We still have 23 minutes.
23 minutes, so till we have to style it and everything.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna wet it down a little bit more so we can style it. But you can see the shape completely changed. So much fun.
So cute.
Definitely fun. All right, so I'm gonna wet it down and start styling. Does that sound cool? Yay! All right. I love how the color's like deep, like a darker and then lighter. Almost like a highlight.
How's everybody feeling about this? What?
So cool. Sexy modern Rose Dawson.
So I definitely want to just wet it down and then put some, I'm probably going to put maybe like a thickening mousse just to give it more volume, a cream.
Each individual strand of hers is very soft. It's very silky.
Thank you.
It's really cool to see the front fringe, like the parts you did use the razor on those dry bits, like that texture it creates. Like it's a really cool fuzz. And I think oftentimes I'm so afraid of like frizzy fuzz, but it's cool to embrace that and just like see the way it comes out.
It's definitely using the tool the proper way. Like if you're using the flat end of it, you're definitely going to disrupt like the curl. And again, not really using a brush on it, using my fingers like as a pick.
And you're doing this versus like just going and rinsing her down just because you do still want to maintain.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't want it to be sopping wet. Because all the moisture is going to come from hydrated. Does it make everybody want to go back to the salon and do curls dry?
Well, I do feel like people do curls dry, right? That is what they do. So,
So maybe everybody does do it, but I don't really see it like in my salon, to be honest with you.
everybody cuts curls wet in your salon?
I'm scared of wet towels.
I do a lot of wet curly cuts myself. Yeah. And I do a lot of razor cutting as well.
So maybe it's just that I'm not seeing it.
And I can't cut with a razor and dry hair the way Coco does. I'm scared of that. You know.
I was just wondering, like, when would you go like dry versus wet? Like when would you decide
Me
that?
personally, the tighter the curl pattern, the more I'll do it
Yeah.
dry. If they only wear their hair curly, and I usually have my curly clients come in with their hair washed and dried that day without, like, I don't want them to come in on their second day or their third day, but it happens all the time where people do. And I'll just cut it dry on, you know, to me, it just depends on the curl pattern. The tighter the curl, the more I'll do it dry. But a lot of times I go in afterwards and do it wet too. So I start with dry and then I go over that same cut wet and then style it.
You give yourself more time for your hair?
I definitely need more time. It depends on the type of curl that it is.
Okay.
So I'll have like a consultation. Sometimes I had, she had really corkscrewy curls and I really needed time to like do the separating, and then I think most of it was the styling, right? So I got the haircut in there. That took a minute. Doing like what do they call, bantu knots, or like wrapping hair around, twisting
Twist.
two strand twists. It all takes time, and then drying it too, right?
That's a super strong mousse. It has volumizing. That's like a volumizing mousse. So there's like conditioned mousses. There's like different types of mousses. It's more of a volumizing mousse.
I used both. Switch it around. You could already see that shape going in there. I always tell clients, you know how clients will just put product like that? I'm like, what about all the other hair?
Yeah.
A good one is
Underneath it.
a good one is when you take a shower, do you only use soap on one part of your body? So you use it on all your body, right? So you got to think the same when you're doing hair, when you're styling hair. And I'm just switching up the product because I don't mind if the texture is different.
Yeah, what are you looking for when you're styling it?
I'm looking for the curl patterns. Did I take enough weight out?
So you're feeling for density as well?
Yes, density, you know, does it need strength in one part versus the other? Does a curl need a little bit of help with me twisting it?
And you guys have your diffusers with you? Yes, if anyone needs one, we have some extras. And how do you want to dry her?
I probably going to use a diffuser. And then after that, I'll switch it up with just my hands.
We can put her under here too. This is a quiet dryer.
We can do that
where
too.
I'm sitting, whatever you want.
If you want to do that, and then
I don't care, whatever you want.
You
How much
come up.
time do we have?
She still has 15 minutes.
I'm going to ask again in 1 minute. Just kidding.
yeah, let me just.
You guys will see I'm a little
Let me just-
OCD in these classes. You still have 15 minutes.
Mama. So now these little drier parts where I didn't get product in, I'm going to go back since I have time. And if they need help, I'll just twist.
I love what her bangs started to do as they got wetter. They like. And Raquel, I can see like near your hairline, the hair got a little lighter, which is really cool.
Just give it a little help. Especially in this part, you can see it still. But I don't want to cut it any shorter right there.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I've been looking.
What are
I've been trying to get a little.
Yeah, what kind of approaches do people take on styling curly hair?
So if you saw before when I was discussing that this kind of just pushes down like on her head, the swirl, I'm just grabbing that and helping it along and almost like setting it with my finger and like just leaving it there. So when it dries,
It's got the
it
volume.
has a little volume.
So you're kind of setting a little barrel curl and then just
Yeah.
naturally letting it fall back out.
Yes. And sporadic, it doesn't have to be all of it.
Yeah, not every curl has to be so perfect. And it's always going to depend on your client.
And sometimes you don't even need to go to the base, just take it from mid shaft and twist it. And it's just to give it more of a polished feel as I'm drying it, you know? Just separating some of the curls.
I should explain my cough. I did not have COVID, but my family did a few weeks ago. We all went through a flu, and it's just kind of a lingering cough, so just letting you know.
Do you want me to put her in there while you do your, how are we gonna do it? Or
Do you
want
want
me
us to dry her now?
I could dry her on that, yeah, she's ready. She's ready.
You're gonna dry her bangs to the side like that?
I'm not sure yet. Probably though. Because that's the side I made that little really accent piece.
Yes.
Touching it, lifting it, just lifting it like this, pushing those curls up so they dry. Clients always like, how do I get fullness in my hair? But I'm like, well, how do you dry it? And they're like, well, I dry it like this. And I'm like, well, you're pushing all this down. Like, so it's good to teach them too. So I'll just like almost do a C curl with my fingers and then push it forward. Thank you. I never knew how to use that thing.
You use the other diffusers.
Yeah.
So these are just travel diffusers. That's the only difference. I mean, it's not the only difference, but it's just going to give you like an air dry kind of dry. And you have to use your hands to create, if you want a tighter curl, say you want a looser curl, you can use that and just kind of push down on the curls, and it'll lessen that curl pattern, right? So if you want it tighter curl, you push and dry. If you want it looser, you just kind of, yeah? I'll show you.
So I'm really pushing all of like that disconnect forward so that you see it. And very lightly too. I'm not fussing it about, just holding it up, putting the heat on it, moving the heat away, letting it cool, and then putting it down.
Sometimes it's like I'll do diffuse partly
Yeah.
just to get the volume where I want it,
Exactly.
and then I'll put them under the hood to finish the dry completely. So it's just one thing that I don't like, there's certain hoods that when you put it over their hair and it gets too dry and you try to bring them back and give them volume, it's like it's just like plastered down. And those are the hood dryers that have a lot of forceful air coming down, right? So I prefer something like this where it's just air that's far away from their head and it's not pushing the hair in any direction, especially if you want volume.
I'm just like pushing, using my fingers as a clip, drying it, taking it away, and letting it cool.
Are you on high heat or high heat? Are you on high heat?
Yes.
High heat, high pressure?
Low pressure.
Low pressure, yeah, that's right.
And even if I have to really push it away, I'll just push it away just to get that lift. You want to style it the way you cut it, right? So you know where stuff sits in, you know where you want the volume, so it's the same thing you're going to do when you're drying it. Does anybody have any questions? Do you guys diffuse hair or do you like dry it and cup it with the dryer? Like, does everybody use a diffuser or do you air dry? Just throwing a question out there.
We're doing some head shaking, so it sounds like some people are diffusing.
I like that dryer because I feel like when I'm diffusing, I'm probably touching the hair too much, but it's always this like crown section that just feels like it's kind of just sits on top of the really beautiful curls that are underneath. And that could be like a product thing too, but it feels like if I'm letting the hood dryer work, it's letting the curls do what they would do when like the client is living with it.
Mm-hmm. So like, is this like most curl clients or a few curl? Does it depend on like their texture there?
If it's like maybe finer textured curls, it feels like, this area, I don't know, it tends to just like kind of sit like separately in a way.
Heavy, you say?
It might be heavy. It might be like I'm not putting enough product in that.
Or maybe
like
just like clip it up while you dry it. Don't touch it until the end.
Yeah.
Like just put 2 clips.
But then it's cool watching you get in there with your hands. But you're doing it with intention and
And it's mostly like on the scalp. Like I could rough up the scalp. I'm not roughing up the top of it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Karina?
I love. Do you want to put her under the hood now? Do you feel ready? Okay. So we'll take this off.
So we're going to put her under the hood, and then I'm just going to open it up later. But you could see already what's going on.
So once her hair totally dries, we'll bring her out, and we will see the after. And also we'll be taking some photos, too. So we'll be sharing those online. But this is still about 75% wet. So we'll see her afterwards.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you, Coco, and thank you, Raquel. It's amazing. We're going to have you sit right under the hood dryer over here. This is like, it's just a Climazone, but it has an air drying button that's like great. And you can adjust the temperature. And so maybe, Eric, could you help Coco with that?
I don't know how to use this machine.
It's really easy, but it took me a while to figure it out. And I'm always like, watch your head, because that happened too, where people are like, damn. Okay, my stuff is here. All right, so we're just moving right along. I want to bring up our second model. Yes. Kayla, this is Kayla, guys. Kayla is a stylist and a wardrobe stylist, right? Yes, you have to specify. And I've been cutting Kayla's hair for a while. Kayla is a great example of someone who has a lot of different curl patterns. I might have to take a break to put on the other mic. Let me just do that really quick and I'll come right back because I need both my hands.
Curl class so far, huh? Getting in there, getting into the curls, looking at it, moving around to see if there's something else that you visually see. You know, we got to remember to move things around, feel them, push them up, push them down, move them away. Because that's the hair talking to me, and then I could see all the different things that I can do to help her do, like she's got 3 different styles going on here, and it's fun.
And one thing that Summer does all the time, her haircut, we were kind of looking at her haircut when we were talking about inspiration for her haircut. And Summer will often do 2 little braids, and it's just so cute with all the layers, all the short layers. So you can try that too, a couple braids.
Oh yeah.
And then just leave this yeah, it'll be fun. Okay, so let's, I'm back. I got my microphone.
Karina Hernandez.
So let's take a look at Kayla's hair. So she's got, also Kayla used to have straight hair, and then all of a sudden one day it was curly, and she's like, I have a straight haircut on my curly hairs, it's not working. So we decided to start to layer it more. But underneath she has just a little bit of a tighter curl. Some spots are really loose and kind of straight. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll cut the shape in, dry it, and then I'll go back in and cut off any bits that are like not really working with the shape. We are going to be changing her cut a little bit. Let me find my inspiration. So if you guys know me or have ever been to any of my classes before, you know that I love this haircut. This is like I usually have this haircut on my head, but if I don't get to have it, then I give it to everyone else. But I'm just kidding. Not everybody gets it. This is Kayla's look. But we're stealing it from Mika Arganeras, and Mika Arganeras is a model who has just always wears a layered cut. So I'm gonna share that with you guys. I'm looking for the right picture. Kind of like that, right? So it's just kind of this look that's just so timeless and gorgeous. Too close?
Yeah, that's good right there.
So
I know, right? They do.
I feel like it's just one of those cuts that works on a lot of people, and the reason why I love this cut so much is because I do feel like it's timeless. It's always cool. It looks great on Kayla, and Kayla does like me to take her bangs a little bit on the shorter side so that she doesn't have to come in as often. And Alicia did the makeup on both of our models. I just want to say thank you to Alicia Campbell, and looks gorgeous. So layers are going to be quite short, so somewhere in here. In the profile, I do like to take it in so it's kind of tapered towards the bottom. So this stuff I'm going to change right now. It's just getting a little too heavy on the bottom, so we're going to, you know, kind of taper that all in so it gets a little smaller going towards the length. And the same around the face. You can see where the volume is, right? So we want to change it so it's more in here. Okay, and yeah, I usually start this cut right in the bang and work my way to length. We are keeping the length today. So when I think of length, I don't always go with what's here, because if I go with what's here, sometimes I don't get enough of a taper. So I more go with what's here. So this is more the length that I'm shooting for this haircut. You can go with the length here if you want to keep the bottom fuller. Yes? So there's always all kinds of approaches to this haircut and thoughtful ways to do it. And my thing is I'm a fast cutter. Like most of my haircuts take me like 10 minutes. And so I'm always thinking in my brain of a clever approach. Like what will be fast? Because I'm always in a hurry. It's just my personality. So I'm always thinking of fast approaches. And so when I'm thinking about how I'm going to do it, I'm picturing, always thinking about balance, always thinking about density, and thinking about shape. And also my consultation with Kayla is usually, hey, my bangs, if they're too long, then I have to come back in and I don't have time in my life. I'm very busy. I'm a very busy woman. So also, look, I'm going to take a look at her face and I'm going to pick where that first layer is going to start. So do you see how this looks so cute right there? So I'm going to go from here, and instead of going down, because a lot of times when I do my frame, I'll go down to the length. This time I'm going to go horizontal back. So instead of going straight down, I'm going, and so I'm going to work myself, I'm picturing starting here, short, 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 until I get to here. Cool? So that's what we're going to do. Sound good? Okay, and also, let's take a look at density differences. There's, in Crown Town, the hair gets a little bit less thick. But right under there, look at this, right? If I took all of this away, let's just say I got crazy and I just cut it off, would she still have like enough hair? So it's good to kind of do these little things because it helps you in your process. I really take my time to study the individual before I wet them down because their hair is so different when it's wet. And so when I'm looking for density, I'm like, oh, look at this big pocket of density here, right? And look at this big pocket of density here. Same behind here, right? See all that hair? So all this hair here is just extra, right? It's just like, she just has some to spend. So we're gonna spend it. Okay, and then these layers here, I want them to sit full, so I'll be cutting them probably half, okay? All right, so any questions? Her hair, each individual strand is fine to medium. She's got some thick strands in here as well. And feels soft, it feels pretty healthy, and she does sometimes use a little sun in. I'm like, what are you doing here? I've been using some sun in. I'm like, oh girl, it looks good.
Make you healthier.
Okay, so what do you guys think? Yes?
Yes.
I know I do this haircut all the time, but I do it a little differently each time. And it's always based on the person in my chair. And so I think that's the thing that I hope to teach here at Pony is how to individualize your approaches and not just do the same thing on everyone. Yes? Okay, cool. So we're gonna wet her down completely, yes? Yeah, you can throw a little conditioner on the ends and then just rinse it all out, okay? So I'll be doing some weight removal techniques, and I'll also be doing a layering technique and bangs. So we're gonna learn a bang, a layer, weight removal, and a frame. Cool. I'm gonna use only my razor, yeah. And her hair type can take a razor. I feel like the best way to know if hair can take a razor is to just try it, right? And if you cut the hair and it gets like weird, then stop. Yeah. Right? Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I know? That's how you know, right? If you cut it and it cuts clean and it looks really good, then keep going. But if you do something and it's like, oh, that, or like you do a little weight removal and all the hair goes, have you ever seen that? You do a little weight removal, it's like, you needed to leave me there, right? So it's really about, like Coco says, reading the hair. You read it, and the only way you know is if you try. And you maybe don't try here, right? And try like somewhere in here.
Or
Yeah?
if you're unsure, just make sure you have a piece that'll go over it.
Yeah.
But it's mostly like what you said, coarser. I mean, you could see it. You know, you could see which ones you can glide with the razor, or you just need to leave it and maybe put product where it lies better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just choose your tool correctly.
Yes. The little white ends,
the little
yeah.
stars.
Yeah, when that happens, have you guys seen that? Have you seen that happen? So usually that's either like it's that hair type that needs to be more wet, or maybe you need more tension, or maybe you need to tap it a little harder.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you tap the hair, it won't do that as much as if you just kind of try to cut it. I don't know, you just have to play around. I think that's the whole thing is like, you know when you first learned the razor and you first felt the edge of the razor? How many of you here cut with the razor or the straight razor? Sometimes, okay. So that first time when you're like, oh, that's the edge, right? Do you remember that? It's like this like click because you can feel it. So same when you're cutting curls and you're trying to figure out, is this curl okay with the razor? Try to move that edge around. Like, do I need to angle my blade more, or do I need to tighten? Like, just try a couple of other little things. And if none of that works, then you know that that hair is not suitable to be cut with the razor.
Yeah.
Have you ever come across hair that you're like, oh, I don't want to use a razor on this?
I would say like 1 out of 5 maybe, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's, or like you said, like use the scissor when you need to, and then use the razor when you can get away with it. You know, so you have a softer and like a stronger variation of the cut on the curl, or whatever hair texture.
Yeah. Yeah. Any questions about anything? Yes.
Do you like a razor on your hair, or does it depend on who cuts it?
That is so the question was, do I like razor cuts, or does it depend who cuts it? If I want to be honest, it depends who cuts it.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh, yes.
Because I've had a doozies, and then I've had beautiful haircuts. So again, it's really listening to the hair, listening to the curl, and you know, definitely test it. And if it looks like it's not agreeing, then just move to a different tool.
So I want you guys to pay attention to the stroke, right? Am I doing a small stroke? Am I switching up my stroke? Am I doing small, then going to large? And why would I do that? It would be to strengthen a line or to add lightness to a line, right? So it's like a little less weighty. So little things like that, those are choices that you make along the way. I always say haircuts are a series of choices, right? And so you make some good ones, and you make some maybe not ones, right? Sometimes, but it's all about, I think, I'm hypercritical about my work. Are you guys similar? So I feel like it's just like in my bones. I'm constantly growing and constantly learning because, but I don't know, maybe it's not great to be so hypercritical of your work. I don't know. Maybe there's a happy medium. Yeah, but what I'm always thinking of is how could I have made that better? And so what's great about that is that you're always learning, right? So when you're like, next time, because they gotta go, this appointment's over. But you will know for next time, okay? I can actually angle that further back, or I can take more weight out of that next time, or. All right, so first thing I'm doing is just sort of combing the hair in a way that I'm gonna be cutting it, which is pretty much starting at the bang. Fun fact, Kayla and Brendan are a couple. All right, so when you guys heard me talking about Bangtown and Sidetown, you guys know that that's kind of a joke, but that I always talk about head shape as in towns, right? And this helps me simplify what I'm doing. Does that make sense? So it's like, if I'm in the bang section, I want to take all the bangs that live on that head and isolate them and kind of work on them. And not always, it's just a really great way to organize your haircut. So how am I cutting the bangs? How am I cutting the sides? How are the sides gonna relate to the bangs? And then how's the crown gonna work with all of this? And then the nape, what's going on in the nape? With Kayla's nape, she has a lot of density. There's a lot of hair from O-bone down. And a lot of times you don't really need that much hair there because especially if you're trying to create a shape where it's a little smaller at the bottom. So all of that in mind, I'm gonna get started.
I think always too, like when you have a reference, like now you guys are always gonna be like, oh, Bangtown, I think it's good to have that just so that you know right away, it's like, oh, that's what she's talking about. So that's what we need to address. And we used to, Raymond, my instructor, used to always just do silly things. And those are the things that makes us remember things that we're doing when we're internalizing a haircut or how we're gonna go about it. So I think it's cute. What is it? Bangtown and then say Crown Town? What is it?
This is Crown Town, so it's from like the highest point of the head to right above O-bone to wide points of the head. And that's going to be different for everyone. Everyone's little crown is going to be a little bit different, right? So when you're thinking of crown, it's all about the person here, and not like a paint by numbers, I guess, kind of thing. It's not the same for everybody. So that's why I say wide point, O-bone, and high crown, right? And that's center crown. And then anything below O-bone, I just said nape town because it's usually just like everything that sits here. And then the sides, it goes all the way to behind the ear. And then bangs is just whatever sits on the face, look up and tilt to the side. That's not see-through. Do you see how all that's not see-through? And that is see-through. That's for hair that's long enough to be able to see that. But basically it goes to the high point of the recession, and usually the recession looks like a triangle. So it's the high point of the recession. All right. Sorry if I talk too much.
Those bits are the ones that are tricky. Do I remove them so they sit back, or do I like them sitting a little heavy? So it's good to see where they're lying, and that's a good way to do it. High recession, move things around, see where it lives. Is it going to work for what I'm doing on my haircut?
So I'll start right in the bangs. I do want these bangs to be a little shorter in the center and get a little bit longer outside, but I don't want my angle to be so steep. So remember, you can change this angle. I can cut this like this, or I can cut it like this, right? So there's so many choices. And so what choice do you make? We know what I'm doing, so I'm just gonna cut, it's gonna be a slight angle, slightly longer on the outside. So I'm gonna take it in 2 sections, and all I'm gonna vary is my stroke, okay? All right, so when I start in the center, I'm gonna do a bigger stroke, and then I might tighten and also, I don't know, I'm just gonna go in there and do it, okay? All right, and if I pull her hair down, this is eyebrow, right? But that's if it's straight. So if it curls up, it's probably gonna be perfect for Kayla, because she likes her bangs on the shorter side. And that's something that's so personal to everyone, right? Like I have clients that are like, I don't want any bit of my eyebrow showing. And you're like, dang, okay, here it goes. But like, you know, your clients will tell you. All right, so I'm starting at the eyebrow. And I'm gonna start with big strokes. See how big my strokes are? I'm gonna get my tension again. And I'm over directing and slightly bringing it forward to the center, slightly. As soon as my guide is outside of my finger, I'll go back in. Actually, I'm gonna use a large stroke the whole way, okay? I mean, this is so cute. And remember, this is gonna go, it's gonna shrink up. Large stroke. Can you look that way? Like more? Yeah, it's good. Am I okay here? Yeah, you can. So again, I have an eyebrow over here. So I can use this eyebrow, elevate, big, big, big. It's harder for me to do a big stroke this way than it is this way, so this is how I do it. This is my process. What part of the blade am I using? I just did it for you. I'm using the edge of the blade. So this is cutting nice and clean, like butter. Sometimes I'll grab the whole bang just to make sure I'm balanced.
I always think like doing it that side, the edge of the blade, you don't have anywhere to stop yourself. So your flow is very like,
sometimes I can, it just depends, right? It's like, and sometimes I feel like I cut myself more on this side than this side. And I hate that.
and then the heel, you gotta really look and follow through, because if not, you might stop. That's why the glide is. There's no stopping point here, but when you're doing the heel, your body stops it. Or your boobs.
All right, so those are the bangs. Simple, right? I'm keeping this so simple. I might take a little weight out now because I know that Kayla's hair is really dense. So I might leave the hairline out of that and just go in and take out more. And I'm just over directing to the center. Sometimes when you do that, when you over direct to the center and you have a large section and you come in on one side, you end up having more weight removal on the side that you're on. So I'm gonna lift up this side only and just go in and kind of account for that, okay? Okay, thanks.
The makeup just went pow.
It did, right? Okay, so I'm gonna do the sides in 2 sections. So I'm just gonna go right away, I'm just gonna go in and section out that whole side. Okay, so this is basically, we're living in Side Town right now. Okay, so I'll get both of those and then I'm gonna section these into 2 sections. So let's think about where we're going. And this is me really talking to myself. I'm going here, right? So if I bring that over to the shoulder, where is that, right? I'm going here. Do you see how that guy gets longer than him? So I want to go from here to here. Cool? That's my angle. I might do it in one. Yeah, I'm going to do it in one. I don't know, I might do it in two. I'm going to do it in two. I just made up my mind. See? Oh no. All right. Bang. There's my bang. Cool so far. Going to here. This is my little reminder. I do all this in my head when I'm cutting hair. But like, this gotta go, right? So careful. This is the part where you're like, oh shoot, it's true, right? And then you're like, now I gotta get all the way to here. And now that totally changed my shape. So that's why I'm kind of like taking my time. I'm really looking, I'm really making sure. So my elevation is lifted slightly, and I'm over directing. And my knuckle is gonna point to where I'm going. This helps me, right, in my line. Because if I'm like this and trying to, I'm gonna probably mess up a little bit. So I'm gonna actually point where I'm going, okay? Which is there. Don't overthink it. Just kidding.
It's always good to have a frame of reference, and that's what mostly she does when she gives like parts to bangs, does the sides, leaves the back out, so she can really see where she's going.
Yeah, it's just the way my brain works. Like I really have to I have to be thinking about all the things at once. And so it just really helps me simplify. Okay, so I'm gonna take out a section here because this is gonna help me. I'm gonna just keep going, all right? It's all about, look at how my hand is flat. There's my length. And now I'm gonna just bring it straight out, okay? Almost like a square layer, yes? So now I'm changing, and I'm gonna go work right to that length. Do you see it? Just fell out.
And why did you change your angle, Karina?
What's that?
Why did you change your angle instead of
Like
keeping
this
it?
instead of like that? Because I wanted to really see where that length was. And I also wanna make this skinnier. So if I work to that length, that's gonna give me that. If I leave some of that there, it's gonna give me fullness at the bottom. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in, actually I'm gonna go do the other side exactly the same way. Then I'm gonna go in and do some cute stuff.
These are like shape sections, kind of.
Shake, so shake sections are more diagonal like this. And do you guys know what the shake is?
What's the shake, Karina?
The shake is, it's a Sassoon cut. I think it was created in the 70s maybe, or somewhere in there, where it's just a layered round cut. And it's a really famous cut for those Sassoonites, right? And it's also something that I use a lot. I use those sections a lot. But for this, I'm doing just more like, you know, big, large sections, getting that shape in, and then I'm gonna go in and like soften things up and make it a little.
You see the difference from side to side, like how much, like there's still so much structure and weight to the haircut and shape, but it's now not hanging so heavy. It's really beautiful.
It totally opens up her face. You could see her cheekbones.
Okay,
Those
this
are
is
those
my
bits that are
harder
just
side,
hanging in the
so
side. Sorry, Karina.
go ahead, you go ahead.
No, that was just like what we were talking earlier about how like curly hair, you always get that little bit in the front that doesn't look like it belongs there, but she just gets rid of it right away because she wants a nice flow in the front. You could see the difference between what she cut already and how heavy it is on the other side.
Okay. Yeah, and so I have my length in there, but I'm gonna get rid of the back for now and just focus on the front. So here's something that's really kind of a challenge, and I think it's a challenge for me always, so it might also be a challenge for you. But balance from side to side. Similar angle, right? Do you ever feel like, oh shoot, this side's longer, my angle's steeper, or whatever? Well, how do you handle that or tackle that before you do it? So a lot of times I'll just I'll go from like the wide point of the crown to that first recession, and I'll just eyeball it, and I'll see where I went, right? So I went to lip. So now I will take that same amount of hair, and I'll mimic that other side, okay? So this is how I keep balance. I don't want to keep going back in and fixing it, you know? I'm like, I don't have time. So I feel like I gotta nail it. I'm already at lip. I'm saying aloud the things I say in my head. Right? I'm already at lip. I'm thinking that, right? So then I go back in and I go, well, I better hurry up and finish, right? Because I can't keep angling that. And I'm a freak about balance. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. It's the Sassoon. I was Sassoon trained first, so Okay, so I'm at the top of the ear. Watch this. Let me see. Steve, you got it? Top of the ear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go top of the ear here, okay? Same exact section. I can't cut it until I know where I'm cutting to. So, es muy importante. When students come in and they're like, we're doing hands-on, people be like, I feel like I'm off balance there. And I'm like, you are. Yeah, well, how? Well, I'm like, well, find it, right? You have to find it. That's the only way. Either I find it or you find it, right? But we have to find it. All right, so look, just past chin, cool? Okay, keep going. Okay, so here's where I can start to change my angle, okay? Right behind the ear. See?
It's almost like you're scooping out to that point.
It's really hard to get balance, guys. It's not easy. That's why I keep talking about this. And it's like oftentimes, I'm always like, it's okay if it's not totally perfectly balanced. Because it's the shag and it's supposed to be messy. Yes.
So to keep balance with curl pattern when it's wet and using a razor, do you find that something you just plan beforehand? So if she had an area, say like left side has like a tighter curl pattern, you'd be like, remember that for when it's wet, or you deal with that later when it's dry?
I deal with it later. So remember I said she has some straight hairs in the nape and some really curly ones. So I'll often just cut it wet dry it. And then when she comes back, any hairs that hang outside of that shape or catch my eye, sometimes it's just about what catches your eye, go in there and grab it and adjust it with your scissors after it's dry. There was a section here that I left out, so I just added it. And now I'm just kind of going over everything, checking it. I'm going to make sure that this is good before I move on. So I also think another important thing is lowering your elevation as well. So you can cut here, right? But then you have to go back here and check it. So we'll do that before we're done. Side. Go a little shorter. But I really encourage you guys to make sure before you move on, as you go, you check your balance so that you don't have to go back and do a whole haircut over again. So it's just like section by section, checking to make sure you're balanced.
And this is such a great shape because it works on so many different hair textures and densities. And even though Karina uses that picture of Mika all the time as a reference, Mika has really fine and very little hair on her head. But this cut makes her hair look so much thicker and like she has a ton of it.
So I'm checking everything back here, even though I cut it in the front. Letting you guys see that. Okay. I know that this side is longer. No, this side. You know, you look in there, it's like the opposite of what you're seeing.
Which is just so I always have one side that's a little, is it right or left?
This is my longer side. You're right or left. I don't know. I think I was just working to a guide. So because I brought it back and everything looked good, I'm just going to move on and I'll come back to that, okay? All right, so this section here I'm going to do in a minute, but before I do that, I want to start to kind of lighten up some of this hair around her face a little bit. So I'm going to take, now these are shake sections. They're just diagonal, round, following head shape, okay? So in here, I'm just going to go in and lighten up some of these pieces. I want it to have a vintage vibe, which to me always means kind of a little bit weighty, yeah? But not too weighty. And she's got a very dense hairline, as in smart. Just kidding. So you see, it's just kind of creating cool little like fun pieces that if she does a tuck or if she wears her hair up, she has these fun lighter bits around the hairline. Everything else, I like it pretty heavy. So some good spots to go in are where it actually opens itself, right? Those are some good spots to go in, is like it kind of separates itself. So I'll go in right there, right there. Then you can go back the other way. And you're just creating points. It's just a form of weight removal. You can call it inversions. Or V's or points. It just helps lighten up your curls, and they just jump up a little more and kick a little more, flip a little more. And because I'm going with the natural openings on her hairline, it just really works. Now her hair is starting to get dry. So I want to add a little bit of leave-in. This is Curl Revive by Isles Formula. It's the best curly product I've ever met.
Steve, the sound guy, loves it also.
It's just kind of slimy, and it's like, and then it dries really clean. It doesn't feel like anything's in there. Yeah, I love it. It's just like, it just adds so much moisture. What did I do with it? Okay, so I'm just checking my bangs for balance still. Making sure. Looking for any weighty pockets. Right here. And then I can just elevate, take a little bit out of this side. Some people have a lot of density past their bang, just past their bang, right here. And sometimes I'll see like little shag haircuts or whatever, and they have these big like bowl areas right here. And so I'm addressing that so we don't get that. Just a little lightness there. Okay. I'm going to add this to everything, and then we'll move on. What do you guys think? Beautiful. Kind of have an idea that you guys do this haircut a lot already. But is there anything new that you just learned watching so far? Anything you want to comment on, or checking this? See? Checking for balance here.
I think it's really important for me to just see, constantly checking for balance, like constantly, because I think I can just like hyper focus on one area, or it's like zoom in, and it's just really important to be looking at the whole thing. And then I think something you had told me, this was a while ago, but putting in a leave-in on curly hair that's like starting to dry before you're putting in something else is kind of like putting in like a filler for color in a way. So it's like preparing it, and I don't know, like, filling in that like dryness with hydration so that it can take other things and just lay really nicely. So just watching you put that in reminds me of that.
Yeah, it's like I want it to get ready to dry. And I'm also still checking balance. Okay, so I'm going to move on to this part here. So I'm going to let's just get over here and look at it. This is nice and heavy and thick. And I'm just going to start to open it up and look to see where that little center of the crown is. Okay? And here, I'm just going to cut from center out, okay? Triangles.
And when you're saying the center, Karina, you're meaning from her swirl pattern?
From here, yeah. From the swirl. From the squirrel. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out where to stand. I'll stand here. And remember, again, I'm working to that length. So I'll find that length that's here, kind of eyeball it. You're like, oh, it's about 3 inches off, right? But I'll start a little shorter in the crown. Large strokes. Take weight out first. Why? Because I can, right? Because she has a lot of hair there, and we're trying to set that in.
And what edge of the blade are you on when you're removing
I'm using
weight?
the edge of the blade to take out bulk. So it's a little bit more like bulk removal. I'm gonna add a little bit of that length in my section. So really, it's about combing and keeping your section organized. There's my length. I'm gonna put a sign outside like, free this haircut all day. Just do it all day, it's fun. All right, so I'm gonna bring up that final guy down there. He's all straight and stuff, but we might, you know, I don't know. We'll see after it dries what's gonna happen with that guy. But we'll leave him there for now.
We have a comment from Gloria. It looks so pretty already. It's awesome how much shape came from angle on the sides.
Yes, right? Yeah, and a little bit of elevation and a little bit of over direction. So you're using all the basic things you learned to create a shape really quick, right? Okay, so here we go. This is the other triangle-ish shape going to the crown. Let me just get a better section there for you guys. See all this stuff? This can be challenging, okay? Because I'm going to be cutting in an upward stroke. So how does that work? You have them look at you and then look down. Down, 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 down. Especially because I'm short. I was going to say, especially because you're short. I'm like, you're not short. I'm short. You're not short. You probably